guys, welcome today, tonight, wherever you are in California. This is myself, Jock. I am joined here with Jeff from First Response Pest Control. Guys, we are here to give you, our customers, some insights into the pest world, what you should be looking for. I have the man with a plan, Jeff, here, and we're just going to have a general chit chat and kind of give you all some insights at what's actually coming up in the area, no matter where you are in the local area, what bugs you should be looking at. And we're going to do this on a regular basis. So make sure that you tune in with us regularly. Make sure you're set up on our website to sign up to our newsletter as well. Do that because we've got a lot more coming up. Jeff, how you doing, my friend?
Good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. And this is exciting because this is something that we've decided that, we're going to jump in for all of our first response customers and potentially new customers to give them, don't you laugh here, I'm going to give them the pest tips, like my little plain word, the pest tips that they can have. This is the best of the pest, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we're talking about here. So, look, we're in spring, Jeff. We're well into spring. We're starting to see the signs of all the pests coming up. What is it? Let's talk a little bit about what pests should all of our clients or our customers or local in our area, what should we be looking out for right now?
Right. No, so right now, I mean, we're at the tail end of April, and what's been interesting out there is that we're seeing quite the uptick with all the rains over the winter. We've seen quite an uptick when it comes to the mosquitoes. Now we've got the new invasive species of mosquito, and so that's another element in the mix. But what really surprised me out in the field, I've been seeing a lot of wasp activity, and normally I know the last few years we didn't start seeing them stirring until, I want to say early to mid-May. But, mid-April, we're starting to see them up there in the eaves forming their nests. And, they're just getting started, but we're out there knocking down those nests and, having a few of them, get angry and fly away. And, but we're like, wow, you guys are starting awfully early this year. And then we've been getting some reports that after sundown, people have already started seeing the larger outdoor roaches, your oriental roach, your American roach. And, normally, again, mid-May, that's usually when we start to really get those reports. But it seems like it's been vacillating so much that we're getting all four seasons in the course of 1 week anymore. So we'll have like a couple of very cold, windy days. We'll have a day that's, pleasant and sunny, maybe in the high 60s.
Yeah.
And then we've had a couple of days where it's gotten into the mid 80s. And, so all the seasons in the course of 1 week, and the bugs are getting confused, I think, and they're just going, oh, is it go time? And so, people have been freaking out getting the sightings. Then by the time we get there, they say, oh, they were just right here, The ants are starting to march, of course, on the nicer days. And we can expect that right around this time. That's pretty normal for them. But it's also been intermittent with them. Like today, for example, it's very windy out there. We even have a wind advisory. And boy, did we feel, you open up the door to the service truck and it blows it closed on you. It's just, you're like, hey, wait, I'm trying to get out here, But yeah, it's colder and windier today. But then tomorrow it's supposed to be hot and sunny. So, it's like, okay, weather, make up your mind.
And that's the thing, because the pests don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on.
Exactly.
But I think what's important as well, though, is that our homeowners, the residential homeowners, they should be really seriously considering, now that things are, really, I don't want to use the word heating up, because essentially it's heating up and then it's getting cold. But
right.
The activity the pests run about here, it really is starting to get there, and they should be thinking now about, okay, we need to get on top of this now, rather than waiting when infestations happen.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, a proactive approach is always the best approach. And I mean, I've told a few people with the way things are going, in the last couple of weeks, I said, we're almost kind of coming late to the party now, to be honest. But a lot of folks don't really, do the proactive thing. What happens? It seems to me, they wait and they think, well, this will pass, and then it gets really out of control, and then we get the call, and it's, oh wow, how fast can you get here? And it's like, oh man, this may have been avoidable, but that's
Yes,
okay
absolutely.
because it is something we can remediate.
Absolutely. Do you know that brings me into the question as well? Because you and I have spoke about this a few times. That they get to the point where there's a bit of cold weather, or we're coming into the autumn, the winter season, and
Mhm.
they don't want to do pest control anymore. But we know that there's overwintering pests, and we know that it's 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 just going to explode the minute the temperature heats
That's
up.
right.
So guys, if you're listening out there, it's a small little investment now. It can save you so much problems, because let's talk about it a little bit, Jeff. Because if they miss out their pest control, keeping on top of these things, what can happen when these infestations get out of control? I mean, it's hard to get them under
Right.
control, straight away. But really, I mean, it's a false sense of security for a homeowner or a
It
business
gets
owner.
to be epic, in some cases. I mean, we get there and we see it firsthand. And when we get there and we see how bad it is, and people are like, I've never seen anything this crazy, but no, these guys were here just a few days ago. It's like, well, they were here, but they were focusing on building up their numbers, and that's the thing they're doing behind the scenes that people don't notice. I have this conversation often, when we get into the winter months and people say, oh, there's no bugs in the winter. And I always ask the question. I said, "What do you think that they got on a plane and went to Cabo? I mean, I'm sure they'd love to. It's nice this time of year, but I don't think that the airlines would allow them on. So
Yeah,
they're probably they can't get tickets, and no, they're hiding. They're hiding in the structure though, and people don't
yeah.
realize that they're in those cracks, in those crevices.
They're just waiting.
I've been called on that before, where somebody says, "Show me where the bugs are." When I was there at their house in the winter, and I said, "Oh, you know what? That's great. Challenge accepted." Well, in about 4 or 5 minutes of looking around, I was able to find some bugs hiding out on his property in the
See?
soffits and in the cracks and
Yeah,
crevices. And I said, "See, they're here. You just don't see them, but we know where to look for them. That's what we do."
yeah,
And he is a true believer now. I mean, he's been on a good solid 5 years, but he was one of those people that said, "Oh, I don't need it in the winter. Just go ahead and put me on pause indefinitely, and I'll get back to you when it's really bad and you have to remediate." And
yeah,
I said, "Well, then we're not being very proactive, are we?"
yeah. And here's another thing, Jeff, because I notice as well, and I've come across this. There'll be like I don't see. Let's say for ants, for instance. Okay,
Hmm.
I see them. They're coming from this one space, and I've put down some DIY stuff, and we seem to get rid of them, and they don't realize that that's just one problem, because
Oh
these
yes,
colonies, there's going to be more colonies. The
there's going
same,
to be more colonies. Yeah.
and they don't realize that. They just think because they can't see them with their physical eyes
Hmm.
that there's no more colonies.
That's right. They say, "Oh, the problem's solved." And even when we go and we do a troubleshooting and we get the immediate issue solved, and we get them educated and explain, okay, here's what's going to happen, here's what to expect. Um, they get through it on the other side. Maybe we give them a follow-up call a couple days later, and they say, "Man, you know what? Whatever you did worked. The problem's solved." And I go, "It's solved. It's solved for now." So don't ever rest. With these bugs, they'll show back up. It's not a matter of will they show back up. It's a matter of when will they show back up. And because they
Yeah.
will absolutely show back up. They've been there before. The pheromones are already there. So many other reasons.
And if they've got the right conducive conditions to survive and thrive, they're going to survive and thrive.
That's right. Life always finds a
It's as
way. I
simple
mean,
as that.
yeah.
And we had you guys. If you haven't been on our Facebook, you'll see that we had a customer recently who we'd put some mosquito uh, treatment out there, and you noticed that it was very pet friendly as well, which is a real important thing. But
Yes.
you know, if you haven't been on the website, then jump on, because we just released some information on the new invasive. I say the new. It's not like a new handbag or anything else, but it is.
Right.
We have got an invasive mosquito that is just as deadly in affecting its
True.
behavior. Carries, you know, tremendous amount of diseases. Aedes aegypti. I don't know if I've said that right, but you can
Egypt,
jump on our
yeah, that's
website
how I've been
and
pronouncing it as well.
yeah, Aedes aegypti, and it's a great name. You can jump on our website and check out that article and learn a little bit more about it, because now, guys, now is the time when you want to be proactive with these mosquitoes, because as you listen to Jeff, the weather's changing and it's hot, it's cold, but it doesn't stop these mosquitoes, and these mosquitoes only need a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of water
Really, I
to
mean, an
thrive.
upside down bottle cap can be a complete breeding ground for a mosquito. We had a lady call one of our, she's been on for 5 years now. And she said, I've got all these gnats and I'm not sure what they're, here for, or what's going on. Well, she's had for the last couple of years an empty pool in her yard. And of course, the
Wow.
pool that was empty isn't empty anymore because we've had so much rain. And she hasn't had a chance to get a sump pump down there. So that water's just been standing there. And so, wouldn't you know it, the first hot day, she says, "Oh my gosh, I'm being inundated with all these gnats." Well, we get there and we say, "Okay, here's what's going on. You've got a mosquito problem." And so she's deciding on whether or not she wants to do mosquito service. But I left her with the recommendation that, hey, this standing water here needs to be addressed. It needs to be dealt with either way. But if we get a mosquito service going for you, and let's say somebody else, across the street or, on the next street over has a similar situation with an empty pool, you may still have mosquitoes, maybe not as bad as you had them, but you were the source at that point. And, we have to do something about that. And really, you need to eliminate the conducive conditions.
And they don't, you know. Here's the thing, though, and what I find is, when this amazes me, Jeff, that they don't really take into consideration how dangerous the mosquitoes are. It's not just. I mean, it's not just a nuisance. Yes,
Right.
there are species of mosquitoes that we have in California and actually all over America that are
Mhm.
more nuisance mosquitoes, but
Yes.
we've got what in America, I think 20 to 30 species that are invasive, that they're dangerous.
They really are. I mean, if they bite somebody who's carrying something that's a bloodborne illness, then now they're transmitting it to other folks. I mean, you hear about it all the time with the
Mm.
different, the Zika, the West Nile. You hear about it with
Yeah,
the what is the other, malaria.
malaria.
There's
Yeah,
dengue fever. That kind of
yellow
stuff.
fever.
Yeah, yellow
Yeah,
fever. Oh man, that
I
doesn't
mean
sound fun at all.
there none of them that, I mean, there is a list of these, and these are deadly. And here's the thing: we
Right.
need to realize, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll say it again: go and read the article we just released. The mosquito, and especially this new invasive mosquito, the Aedes aegypti, these are the most deadliest. Not one of these are the most deadliest vectors on the planet, right?
Yes.
And we have them right in our back door. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that they can do proactively around the home before they start their. Obviously mosquito control is really important, but it goes beyond. It really goes beyond even just treating and putting the treatment down, because if you're silly and you don't do your chores,
That's right.
you could
That's
be
right.
asking for a problem. So let's
And
let's
a
get
lot
them
of the
some tips.
folks
Let's
out
give our
here, I
guys some tips,
understand, it
Jeff.
seemed like every time the weekend rolled around, that's when rain came. So, they plan
Yeah,
to do things on the weekend because they're at work all week. It's beautiful and
yeah,
sunny all week while they're at work. They get to the
yeah,
weekend and it's pouring down rain and they go, well, I guess I'm not doing the chores this weekend. So, I mean, we've been in yards where the weeds are, all the way up past our hip. We've been seeing
yeah.
stacks of old tires, and of course the rain is in there and it's
Water in
not
them. Yeah,
evaporating out, and this lady with the pool, that was a good example. But I mean, just even something small like a little pail or bucket in the yard, well, the
yeah.
rain probably filled it up and that's just stagnant water now.
And also the pet, that your pet's dishes and water dishes, and
That's right.
you
That's
don't really.
right, they
And
can
see, here's the
get
other thing,
out of hand
guys.
too.
You don't realize as well, and for all you women out there that are nagging your husbands to go up and clean the leaves out of the gutters and things like that, there's a
Oh
reason for
yes,
it. Because if you've got water in the gutters, it's not going anywhere, then you could have a mosquito problem, and
that's right. Those
that.
rain
And
gutters,
here,
exactly.
I say exactly. And here's the thing, guys: if for what you would invest in a mosquito control, it's a lot cheaper than actually having to pay medical bills.
That's very true. Yes. I mean, ultimately too, it's it's less costly than water damage. It's less it's funny you mentioned that too, that people kind of don't seem to really worry so much about it. And I think maybe that comes from all the time we spent with no real way of effectively
Yeah,
dealing with these things, which I mean, that's just come down the pike in the last several years where we have some effective means by which to really help control the mosquitoes. But it's so funny. One of the mosquito installs that I did, because I mean, the missus was all for it. She says, let's do this. Let's add this to our service. We got it going ahead, installed it in April for her. She's happy, getting a peace of mind from that. But the mister, he says, well, I mean, it's not like they're bed bugs. And I told him, I said, it's funny you mentioned that. And I said, between you and me, I'd rather deal with bed bugs than mosquitoes. And I'll tell you why. Bed bugs haven't been known to vector a disease from one individual to another at all, ever. There hasn't been one reported case of that. I said,
they
now bed
don't
bugs are a
carry
nuisance,
disease.
sure, but that's all they are, is a nuisance, and that drive you crazy and sleepless nights. I said, but you got nothing to worry about as far as catching all these deadly diseases when it comes to a bed bug. Only thing you have to worry about is how do we get rid of these effectively and keep them out? I said, but even if you're getting bit up by the bed bug, you're not getting any illnesses from it.
That's actually true. They don't carry illness.
That's right. I wish the mosquitoes had the same deal as the bed bug in that respect. Because, it's bad. I mean, I've talked to people who have actually contracted an illness from a mosquito bite, and it's just, they went on a camping trip and, they get back and, you've had a wonderful vacation. But then the next thing you know, they're not feeling well. They go to the doctors, they get diagnosed with something. Hey, were you camping? Yeah. Were you near like a lake or a pond or something? Oh yeah. Did you get bit up by mosquitoes? Yeah. Okay, we know what you have. And then they can get to the heart of it and figure it out. But you're finally back off of vacation. Now you're sick. Now you're going to the doctor, and it's just, oh man. I mean, at the minimum, an inconvenience. But like you said, some of these diseases can be deadly.
Yeah. And also, we another one. I mean, this is a nice segue actually. We're talking about, Jeff, because not that we want to frighten everybody out there, but pest control is an investment, and it is looking not only for your health
Yep.
and your wealth, but
Yes.
also for damage to your house and everything else. But there's also another pest that people don't really take much serious, right? And that's when you have pets, you have to deal with fleas, right?
Oh yes.
And fleas can be an issue because fleas also carry disease. And
Yes.
it's not, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in the past 5 years in America, we have actually seen cases of the bubonic plague that literally, pardon my French, but plagued all of Europe way
Right.
back in the
I mean,
60s, way back
wiped
in the
out what,
time.
a third of the population or something, wasn't it?
That's right. That's right. And so
Yeah.
that's another pest that we don't really take seriously. We think, oh, I got fleas. I'll nip down and I'll put something on the cat or whatever else. But we have had in America in the last 5 years cases of the bubonic plague, and
Right.
because it's coming from not just our pets, but our pets are out in the wild, or maybe you're out in a park,
That's
get
right.
caught up with a squirrel, get caught
Oh
up with
yes.
another rodent or something like that, and before you know it, you've got a problem. So
That's right.
again, guys, it's true, isn't it, Jeff? I mean, fleas, you need to take that
And
serious
I've
as
noticed,
well.
it's funny you mentioned that. Along the same lines, we have the fleas, and we've been battling a few cases of fleas, and with the right prep and with the right protocol in place, we get a property free of these, and that's good peace of mind. The pets are free of them. But the other one that we get a lot up here, and we're coming into a time where we're going to be dealing with it. I think this summer we're going to see a lot of it, are the ticks. And it's just because there's so much
Yeah,
brush growth, and all this
absolutely.
rain. Yeah, it's gonna
And
be it's gonna
they're
be
getting
something.
more prevalent. They're getting throughout the United States. They're getting more prevalent because we've had so much. I think we've had so much diversification, Jeff, in the weather
Oh
recently as
yes,
well. That again, it's that. I mean, it's that thing. Look, if you give them the right environment, we're all
yes,
looking for the same thing. Even as human beings, we need shelter, warmth, water, we need food,
yes.
and if you give all these things to pests, they're going to thrive.
Oh, they're gonna absolutely thrive. Yeah. And
And I
and that's the
don't
thing
think,
for different pests. I mean, you get the right temperature, the right level of humidity, and I mean, you've got
yeah,
a powder keg that you're potentially sitting on where, bam, now you've got just major infestations where you know sort of like which people have never seen it that bad before. I get that all the time. I've seen it before, but I've never seen it that bad.
never seen it that bad.
And I go, well, this is one for the books. And then the next one comes along and shatters that record.
Yeah. So with the ticks, then I mean, a lot of people out there might not understand a lot about and we're talking about black leg ticks, really,
Yes.
that are carrying that disease. Let's talk about that, and maybe let our customers, let our people in our area know what they should be looking for with the ticks and how prevalent, how dangerous they actually can be, and what they should be doing about it.
Right. So, if let's say, you've got your property and there's a lot of properties out this way where, the fence is a wooden fence. And let's say you're backed up to wilderness. And so, what's going to happen over time is those weeds, that brush that grew in, all that, the goat heads, you name it out there, that's going to turn into tumbleweeds. Those tumbleweeds are going to get blown by the winds, and we get winds out here all the time. Maybe not to the level we have today. I mean, this is ridiculous, but we always get a breeze that blows through and rolls the tumbleweeds across the road. Well, if your fence is facing the windward side, you get this stack of tumbleweeds that just accumulates along your fence. And the folks that have lived on these properties long enough, they know. And whether it's a wood fence or even a chain link fence, they're used to it. And what they do is they go out there with a rake, like a hard edged rake, and just pull these things off and get them, either disposed of and crunched down. Some people out here in certain areas are allowed to get them in a pile and burn them, and they're okay with that on certain days. Check with your local authorities on that stuff, though. Don't take our word for it. Make sure you're doing
Yeah,
everything on the up. But we see it, out there, and we go, oh, it must be burn day. Oh, this guy's doing his regular maintenance. But that's good. That's essential. That's vital, because all those weeds could have the ticks in them. Your pet goes along and brushes up against the fence,
I see.
and boom, now he's got a tick on him, or she, so the family dog comes in the house, and you pet him and you feel something on him. Hey, what's this? You start looking around in the fur. Hey, what is this on them? You want to get that taken care of right away, and you don't just pick them out either, because that's bad. You could
Yeah,
possibly cause an infection.
yeah,
Yeah,
and you also need to be careful. You don't, if you pull it and you leave the head in it, that's one of the reasons you end up getting infection. And you need to realize that Lyme disease is serious. It carries diseases
that's right.
and they're essentially deer ticks that are out there, and it only takes one bite. So one of the things that ladies and gentlemen, you should be looking for is if you've got a bite in your body and you start to see that target, that bullet, that ring around it, and you start to feel a little, start to get ill and temperatures and things, then you want to get checked out, because Lyme's disease is not to be played with. And so
Right.
one of the things that we would suggest here, first response is that if you have a yard that's like that and you're finding it difficult to maintain, then you should be treating your yard as well, not only
That's
for
right.
ticks but for fleas and for you can't guarantee flying insects, but guys, you really need to take these pests seriously, because it could ruin your summer and it could ruin your life essentially. So few things to
Exactly.
look out for, few things you need to look out for, ladies and gentlemen, as we move into the warmer weather in this season. And what else would you want to tell the good folks out there that they should be looking for, and maybe not to try and do DIY. Why shouldn't they be doing DIY pest control? Let's talk about that before we finish off, Jeff.
Right. And I'll tell you, I'm glad you mentioned that. So, we've had some people that swear they're able to get things done on a DIY basis. And I'll tell you, a lot of the stuff that they sell over the counter, active ingredient wise, it's good active ingredients, but the formulation is so different. So,
Yeah,
you get that bottle of the premixed stuff,
yeah,
out of the store, or there's even a company out this way, that I see advertising on social media a lot where they sell you basically a bag with just a little bit of the concentrate in it, and then you fill up the water to a fill line, and it's supposedly the same stuff we use. Well, the thing about that is any one of us on any given day on our truck have about 7 or 8 go-to products on our truck, and that's why we're asking
absolutely.
questions when we're out there. We ask Mr. Customer, what is it that you're seeing? What is the main issue we're dealing with? Each product has its strengths and weaknesses. So you may get something, they say, oh, this is what the pros use. Sure, it might be the thing that we use in October and November, but I mean, you're talking about May and June. We're not probably going to
Yeah,
use the same thing we used in October and November and May and June, because
yeah.
we're dealing with different pests as a prominent issue.
And also, what people need to understand is that every pest is a different biological makeup, and
That's
they have a
right.
different type of life cycle. Some have got a different life cycle to others, and so we need to be able to identify and gather all this information to say, okay, well, now we know where they're at, maybe what life cycle they're at, and what product works. You can't have just one product does everything. It doesn't work like that. And also, there's user error. You can get a DIY product and maybe overfill it a little bit, and you don't
That's right.
realize that's you're just ruining it. It's just
Right. You've taken it right out of the acceptable range. So now it's over
don't
diluted,
cut corners. It's like
cutting
it's like
corners.
this, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen. You're building your house. You want to build it solidly with the right way, with the right products and everything else, so it lasts you a lifetime. You don't want to cut corners so that your wall falls down.
Right. And I get people, even customers, that say, well, if you spray more here, you put more there, will it be stronger? And I always tell them, no, it's not, 2 coats, 3 coats. It's not like waxing a paint job. You're going to do wax 2, 3 coats. Sure. Now, you've got, a good solid wax job on it. But when it comes to what we do, it's having the right amount in the right place, and that's what makes all the difference, and really the expertise comes into play. So we ask questions because we're not trying to waste anybody's time. We want to really be effective as we can
Yeah.
be, and that really comes from getting some information, taking in what we're seeing, taking in what we're hearing, and then coming up with a game plan or a strategy. And it's like, okay, well, we know that he's been getting a lot of spiders in the garage, so if we treat around that
Yeah.
door frame of the garage, then we know any spiders coming in are going to, go ahead and pick up a lethal dose of this product. Um, you know,
Yes.
that's going to cut down on that action. If we see a lot of webs around the light fixture, we ask, hey, is this on all night? Yes, it is. Hey, might I suggest you go to an amber bulb? That's not even something we would spray, but we're brushing down those webs. So we notice it, and then we mention an amber bulb, and they go, hey, I've noticed a lot less spiders since I switched out the bulbs. Well, absolutely. We try to do everything as holistic as possible. So something as simple as switching to an amber bulb might make all the difference in the world for somebody. And so that's what you get when you have a good, solid service technician out there. They're looking at things and they're thinking, if it was my house, what would I change? Knowing what I know
Yeah.
about these insects, knowing what I know about these arachnids. Oh,
What would
I
you
would do
do?
this.
I think that's brilliant. And before we finish off, Jeff, I wanna just mention to everybody: look, we're dedicated to serving you when you have before you have a pest problem to keep the problems at bay. You're better to be proactive rather than reactive, because reactive can
Absolutely.
be can be a problem. And we want you to come and join us. We're going to be doing this every couple of weeks. We're not going to inundate you so that we bore you with just listening to us, but there's going to be interesting things for you to learn. We might even bring up a few stories here and there,
Yes.
and to entertain you as well as educate you. So make sure that you you connect with us on the website. You sign up to our newsletter, and these are going to be the pest tips from first
Yes.
response
The very pest tips
control.
we can come up with,
The
because
very
I
pest
mean, the
tips
more
that we can
informed
do.
people are, the better they can make a decision, and even if
Yeah,
they're not working with us, they at least have a better understanding of what's going on out there. Because, like you said,
absolutely.
I mean, some of these bugs you really can't take lightly.
No, you can't. Actually, before let's do this. Let's finish off on this note. Let everybody know what was one of the worst cases of any particular bug that you have seen in the last, say, the last 5 years or so. What was the worst case that you went in and went, wow, I've never seen it like this before?
I'll tell you, having done all those years commercial, I've seen some pretty bad things out there.
Yeah,
Roach infestations, you name it. But honestly, I went to one that we do several services for a landlord, and he never had a service this house before, and he had a heck of a time getting the tenant to move out. Um, and he said it's pretty badly infested with roaches. Now we've heard this before. Okay, German
yeah.
roaches, pretty badly infested. Totally understand. Um, I think that's probably in the last 5 years the worst we've seen. I mean, literally, when we went to open up the cabinet doors in the kitchen, I mean, we're
Wow.
talking upper cabinets, lower cabinets, didn't matter. There was just I want to say, multiples of 10 falling out of them.
Oh my
When we
God.
and running and scurrying all into the woodworks in there. And I said, wow, I've seen some bad infestations, but this one's a doozy. And I'll tell you, in 4 visits, we got it completely eliminated from this house.
Wow. Oriental or American, Jeff?
But man, was it a doozy.
Or Oriental cockroaches or American?
Though those were German cockroaches, and it was just
German. Oh
horrendously
wow. All
bad.
right.
Yeah,
They're really bad and hard to get control of. 4 days. That's pretty good. So,
yeah,
and
yeah.
also,
Well,
ladies
we
and
did.
gentlemen,
It
you
was
can.
actually 4 weeks, but we did one heavy hit per week.
There we go. So I mean, oh yeah, 4 weeks, not 4 days. 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So I
But 4 visits,
mean,
though,
and
that was
also
actually
you need
pretty
to
good to get
know.
it in check in 4 visits.
I was
I
going to
thought it would
say,
take more. I honestly did.
yeah. And that's, people need to know as well that's cockroaches. If you see them during the day, you've got a problem.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, because they normally only come out when it's, after dark. And that's on a,
Yeah.
a light or a moderate infestation. But man, this was
Yeah.
this was pretty horrendous.
So Jeff, this is you're the founder, the first pet. What is it you want to send a message to all of our customers out there for this spring, and then we will give them the pest tips the next time.
Absolutely. Well, I will say this, with all the rains that we've had, and now that things are starting to get warmer, brace for it, guys. I've been reading up on this myself, and I'm sure you have as well, Jacques. It's
Yeah.
we're in for one heck of a roller coaster ride this summer, and I think spring will be a ramp up to this summer, and we're already seeing a lot of activity, kind of on the early side. So I think it's just going to keep getting more exponential from there. We're going to be busy. I think we're gonna have a
Oh yeah,
lot on our hands
absolutely.
to deal with.
And also, what you can do to help us, guys, is if you have got a problem and take some images and go onto our website and fill in the form, upload those images, because
Yes,
the team will be able to look at those images and know exactly what to do before. There's no point in them driving 10, 15, 20 miles out to you
that's
and
right.
it being the wrong information. So make sure you get on our site, okay? You get on our site, you'll get the link below as well, and make sure that when you fill in that form, give us as much information as possible. And
Yes.
if you can take images of any of the particular problems you've got, that'll help us to help you a lot faster. So stay tuned, guys. Join us again in a couple of weeks' time. We'll let you know when we're back on, when we bring you the pest tips from First Response Pest Control. Jeff, I shall see you soon.
All right.